The Cedar Closet by Lafcadio Hearn. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Reading by Rowdy Delaney, Idaho, USA, September 2007. The Cedar Closet by Lafcadio Hearn. It happened 10 years ago, and it stands out, and ever will stand out, in my memory like some dark, awful barrier dividing the happy, gleeful years of girlhood, with their foolish, petulant sorrows and eager, innocent joys, and the bright, lovely life which has been mine since. In looking back, that time seems to me shadowed by a dark and terrible brooding cloud, bearing in its lurid gloom what, but for love and patience the tenderest and most untiring, might have been the bolt of death, or, worse 1,000 times, of madness. And it was, for months after life crept on a broken wing, if not through cells of madness, yet verily through haunts of horror and fear. Oh, the weary, weary days and months when I longed piteously for rest, when sunshine was torture and every shadow filled with horror unspeakable, when my soul's craving was for death, to be allowed to creep away from the terror which lurked in the softest murmur of the summer breeze, the flicker of the shadow of the tiniest leaf on the sunny grass, in every corner and curtain fold in my dear home. But love conquered all, and I can tell my story now, with awe and wonder, it is true, but quietly and calmly. 10 years ago I was living with my only brother in one of the quaint, ivory-grown, red-gabled rectories which are so picturesquely scattered over the fair breadth of England. We were orphans, Archibald and I had been the busy, happy mistress of his pretty home for only 1 year after leaving school, when Robert Dray asked me to be his wife. Robert and Archie were old friends, and my new home, Dray's Court, was only separated from the parsonage by an old gray wall, a low iron-studded door in which admitted us from the sunny parsonage down to the old park which had belonged to the Drays for centuries. Robert was lord of the manor, and it was he who had given Archie the living of Dray in the Wold. It was the night before my wedding, and our pretty home was crowded with the wedding guests. We were all gathered in the large old-fashioned drawing-room after dinner. When Robert left us late in the evening, I walked with him, as usual, to the little gate for what he called our last parting. We lingered a while under the great walnut tree, through the heavy, sombre branches of which the September moon poured its soft, pure light. With his last good-night kiss on my lips, and my heart full of him and the love which warmed and glorified the whole world for me, I did not care to go back to share in the fun and frolic in the drawing-room, but went softly upstairs to my own room. I say my own room, but I was to occupy it as a bedroom tonight for the first time. It was a pleasant south room, wainscoted in richly carved cedar, which gave the atmosphere a spicy fragrance. I had chosen it as my morning room on my arrival in our home. Here I had read and sang and painted and spent long, sunny hours while Archibald was busy in his study after breakfast. I had had a bed arranged there, as I preferred being alone to sharing my own larger bedroom with 2 of my bridesmaids. It looked bright and cozy as I came in. My favorite low chair was drawn before the fire, whose rosy light glanced and flickered on the glossy dark walls, which gave the room its name, the Cedar Closet. My maid was very busy preparing my toilette table. I sent her away and sat down to wait for my brother, who I knew would come to bid me good night. He came, and we had our last fireside talk in my girlhood's home, and when he left me there was an incursion of all my bridesmaids for a dressing-gown reception. When at last I was alone, I drew back the curtain and curled myself up in the low, wide window-seat. The moon was at its brightest. The little church and quiet churchyard beyond the lawn looked fair and calm beneath its rays. The gleam of the white headstones here and there between the trees might have reminded me that life is not all
Sample complete. Ready to continue?